What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. Time for my Week 12 Top 25. If you missed it earlier, I did project what the college football playoff rankings are going to look like tomorrow night. But since those rankings have come out, I've started doing my own Top 25, where we're just simply looking at the teams who would beat who. Who would beat who if they played right now. If they played a best of 5 on a neutral field or something like that. Just more like a power ranking. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of people still having a little bit of a hard time with this, but we're talking about how the teams are playing right now. This is how, I'll just show you this. This was in the projection video. This is how I think the rankings should look like if the playoff committee followed their criteria. So this is what the top 25 should look like on Tuesday night, but it won't, because we all know there are certain agendas here, of course, with this committee, and certain things that they just have not made any sense on this year. But this is what I think the rankings should look like. But now we're going to go more to my power rankings, and we'll start at the top. I still think Georgia's the best team in the country. I think that's pretty clear. 2 through 4, though, really close for me. Michigan, Tennessee, and Ohio State. I think all of these teams would beat TCU. I think TCU's a really good team. I think they're just a little bit behind these teams. You know, I've kind of been consistent with Michigan, just their style of play. I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards Ohio State in that game, especially because it's in Columbus, but playing on a neutral field. I would take Michigan, and kind of the same thing with Tennessee. I think the style of Michigan would be able to beat Tennessee. It just seems like those teams that are really good on the line of scrimmage, that can run the ball, can play good defense, those are the teams that win in these types of matchups. We saw that with Georgia, Tennessee. We saw it with Michigan, Ohio State last season. Might see it again this year. Although that's going to be a really motivated Ohio State team in that game, playing at home, wanting revenge. I'm having a really hard time making a prediction in that matchup. But this is how I would rank the teams: Georgia, Michigan, Tennessee, Ohio State, and then TCU is that next team for me. Just a little bit behind these top 4, but still, I think they have proven they are a really good team. I don't want to take anything away from them. I just think these top 4 are a little bit better. And like I said, Michigan, Tennessee, Ohio State, very, very close. Let's go now to 6 through 10. LSU at number 6. Didn't play great against Arkansas, but they've showed us what they're capable of. This is a good team. They obviously had a little bit of a letdown after the Alabama game. Arkansas was really, really fired up playing at home. Early kick, cold. There were a lot of ingredients there for LSU to struggle. But the way they're starting to play, look at Harold Perkins. He's starting to look like the best defensive player in the country. He's looking better than Will Anderson, I'll say that. All the talk was about Will Anderson coming into the season. Harold Perkins has been better than him, and he has been just outstanding. Alabama, I still think, is a really good team. You look at what they did against Ole Miss. They've got it on both sides of the ball. They got a good defense. They got a good offense. There are holes there. There are areas that they need to improve, and that's why they're not a top 6 team. But they would still beat most teams in the country, and they did just go on the road and beat Ole Miss. Florida State at number 8. This team is hot right now, and you look at the way they have played. They dismantled Syracuse. Their defense is playing really well. I think they held them to like 160 yards in that game. Jordan Travis, we saw right away when they played LSU, we saw that he was a different player this year. They've got it going on both sides of the ball. 2 blowout wins against ACC opponents the last couple of weeks. They had some tough losses and close games, but Florida State's playing like a top 10 team right now. Penn State also looking really good. Remember, their only losses come into Ohio State and Michigan. Would like to see them play a top 25 team. They're not going to, because the Big Ten has just been so weird this year. But I believe they're a top 10 team right now. And Notre Dame, kind of like Florida State, they're just really hot. They didn't have a great performance against Navy, but it's kind of the same thing as with LSU. You know, you're going to have a letdown after a big win, after they upset Clemson. That's to be expected. But go back to the weeks before that. This Notre Dame team was playing really well, and they were hot. They were one of the top 10 teams in the country, in my opinion. Let's go to 11 through 15. Utah has just steadily been improving, getting better and better. I think they have a real good shot against Oregon. They've got a chance to win the Pac-12, which is what a lot of people expected in the preseason. They are starting to play like that team that we expected them to be. They had an easy win this past weekend. Clemson bouncing back against Louisville. This is still a good team. When they play at their best, they're still really good, and they haven't really played all that well at times this year. But I've got them at number 12. Washington at 13. Big win over Oregon. That offense, Michael Penix, I mean, man, they're good. This is a good football team. I've got them up to number 13. You know, the game against Arizona State, that was really a fluke, I think. And Oregon, that game, man, that was a good game. Came down to the wire. Those two teams looked really even, so I think they should be ranked very close to each other. And then Ole Miss at number 15. They had opportunities against Alabama, played really well most of that game. I don't understand when they got down towards the goal line. Why did they not run the football in that game? They were running with a lot of success. Then they went out and threw it, I think, 4 straight times. Maybe had a Jackson Dart run in there. Lane Kiffin probably kicking himself for the play calling late in that one. And maybe Ole Miss should be higher here, but you know they haven't really proven it against a lot of teams, a lot of great teams this year. I mean, Kentucky's their best win, and they did lose to both Alabama and LSU. So I'm really not sure how good Ole Miss is. I've got them at 15. I think they are, you know, a top 15 team. And then we go to 16 through 20. USC at number 16. I know they're in the top 10. They've only lost 1 game, but look, they've only beaten 1 quality team, and that was Oregon State, and that was a close game. They've struggled against some bad teams. I have a hard time putting them higher than 16 right now. As far as, you know, those teams that were ahead of them, I think would all beat them if they played this weekend. Kansas State, I mean, they look like a top 10 team at times. They've been a little inconsistent, so it's kind of tough to figure out where to rank them. North Carolina in that offense, really, really good. Big win over Wake Forest. Defense, though, still has a little bit of work to do, but they're a top 20 team. UCF at number 19. Big win on the road at Tulane. Really impressed with them. You kind of go back to that East Carolina game and, you know, what happened there, because the rest of the year they've looked really good. UCLA at number 20. Tough loss to Arizona. That's going to drop them a good bit. I still think they've got a great shot to beat USC this weekend, but I got to put them at number 20 after that performance against Arizona. And then 21 through 25, Oklahoma State number 21. They've kind of been up and down this year. They did win this past weekend. Florida and Iowa. So I've got 2 4-loss teams in here. Florida's playing really well. They haven't had any bad losses. You look at all the teams they've lost to. Kentucky is the worst team they've lost to. The other teams ranked in the top 25, pretty high, most of them. And they've looked really good the last couple of weeks. Really good on both sides of the ball. I think they are playing like a top 25 team, and so is Iowa. Their defense has been solid all year. The offense has come to life a little bit. I mean, they're not scoring 40 points a game, but they're playing better. And with a little bit of offense and that defense, you know, if they had this type of offense earlier in the year, they'd probably, you know, be sitting there with maybe 2 losses, and they'd be ranked pretty high. Oregon State, number 24. All of their losses have come to good teams. This is a quality team, I think, really underrated. They haven't really beaten anyone, so resume-wise, I don't think they've proven that they should be ranked very high, but they're a good team. I really believe that. And then Tulane at number 25. Tough loss to UCF, but this is still a quality team, and I think they've proven that this year. Cincinnati also, I think you could put in here. That was kind of tough for me because I've been back and forth. You know, Cincinnati and Tulane do play, and I think Cincinnati might win that game. So I would say maybe Cincinnati, Tulane, that's like a tie for me at number 25. But those are the 25 teams for me that are playing the best right now. How I would rank the teams right now, it's sort of a power ranking type rankings like I mentioned. So love to get your thoughts. How would you rank the teams based off of how they're playing right now? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.